In addition to their basic duties, the 3 U.S. advisors concerned themselves with battalion morale. These palm fronds were for the roof of a barracks Johnston had recommended, Captain Kahn had authorized, and Lieutenant Clement had been delegated to supervise. Even though Johnston expected to be reassigned to the United States before it was completed, he had not hesitated to recommend its construction. He knew he could count on Lieutenant Clement, his probable successor as battalion advisor, to follow through on the project. At Johnston's suggestion, Clement and Sergeant Jones, with Sergeant Doc aiding, assisted USIS activity by presenting residents of Đức Hòa with books, pamphlets, and calendars. Because Đức Hòa was located near the Oriental River and even closer to many access canals, the 1st Battalion was given its most important mission to date. Produce from this rich agricultural area and from the even more productive south was transported by boat to roads which led to Saigon and other cities north of the Delta. However, river and road traffic was frequently intercepted by the Viet Cong, who collected tribute from the farmers transporting their produce and terrorized them if they were uncooperative. The 1st Battalion was assigned the mission of clearing the area southeast of Đức Hòa and of constructing a self-defense corps post at the junction of the Kin Sang and Kin Yang canals near the village of Ly-on-Mine. Upon receipt of the order, Captain Johnston and his counterpart formulated a plan for the post, selecting a position which would command both canals and afford the best route for reinforcements. Kahn's planning impressed Johnston, convincing him that advising can work both ways, for he was getting many good ideas from his counterpart. The plan included preparation of materials at Đức Hòa and movement of the 1st and 2nd companies from the sugar mill area, so that almost the entire battalion would proceed downriver to the construction site. 2 platoons would be left at Đức Hòa to secure the CP, and Lieutenant Clement would remain with them. As the men split bamboo to transport downriver, Johnston saw that he'd won a minor but significant victory. They were using machetes instead of bayonets. His appeals to Kahn and the men had taken effect, and misuse of bayonets had apparently ended. As they prepared to move downriver, men of the battalion were deeply concerned about something, and it wasn't the prospect of backbreaking work in 120-degree heat or the almost certain casualties they would take. Tet, their version of Chinese New Year, was 2 weeks away. Unless they completed the SDC post before then, 30% would miss leave time at home, and the rest a round of feasts and festivity at Đức Hòa. At a nearby port on the Oriental River, the equipment was loaded on board LCMs. Responding to requests through command and advisory channels, the Navy of the Republic of Vietnam had assigned 4 landing craft in support of the battalion's mission. Johnston was on hand to watch the LCMs pull out. Manned by Vietnamese Navy personnel, the craft would transport the equipment by river and then canal to the construction site. Meanwhile, the battalion paralleled the river on foot, its immediate objective to clear the intervening area of Viet Cong. Walking with them were Johnston and the battalion commander. They cleared villages and searched huts all along the populated route to the site of the SDC post. Johnston and his counterpart found that all adult males had left, confirming their belief that most of the population were Viet Cong. At another hut, a last-moment escape by VC was indicated by food still being cooked. Despite all precautions, an ambush resulted in the wounding of 2 men. On the river, the Navy was having its own taste of the Viet Cong, receiving harassing fire from the thick jungle. In return, they opened up with their 20mm cannon. As soon as the battalion arrived at the site of the SDC post, they started digging in to set up a defensive perimeter on Johnston's recommendation. He explained some of his other recommendations to the regimental commander and Khan, realizing that it wasn't enough to say this was the way the American Army did things. Following a conference, they burned the brush to uncover many traps laid by the Communist Viet Cong.